Today we're looking at a video that's getting a lot of attention across the UK and beyond. You won't believe what's happening on our streets due to the current government. A huge group of Muslims marched through London, causing traffic disruptions and raising serious questions about cultural integration. Are we seeing a shift away from traditional British values? First, let's discuss the recent large protest in London. Thousands of people, mostly women in hijabs and niqabs, filled the streets waving flags and creating chaos. What's really shocking is that there wasn't a single police officer around, causing major traffic issues and disruptions to daily life. Many Brits feel uneasy and even scared, seeing such a large group that doesn't seem to be adapting to British culture. This brings up concerns about integration and national identity, making some feel like foreigners in their own country. As we dive into today's footage, remember to like and subscribe to support us and spread the truth. On one side, people argue that these protests are about expressing cultural and religious identity. On the other side, there's a growing feeling that these displays clash with British culture. The UK prides itself on being a diverse place, but there's a fine line between celebrating diversity and feeling overwhelmed by it. The recent protest highlights the tension between maintaining national values and accommodating different cultural practices. This is an important debate. Where do we draw the line? Now, let's look at how the government and local authorities are dealing with this situation. The lack of police presence raises questions about law enforcement's role in managing such demonstrations. Public reaction is mixed. Some see the protest as a necessary display of cultural pride, while others view it as a disruption that undermines British social norms. The debate is heating up, with calls for stricter controls and others advocating for a more inclusive approach. As we watch the shocking scenes of unchecked protests in London, let's check out another situation unfolding on our streets. The next clip paints a grim picture of how mass immigration is changing our city, making many wonder how much London has changed from what it used to be. Imagine walking through a familiar part of London and suddenly finding yourself surrounded by hijabs and Islamic symbols. The streets are overflowing with immigrants, and their presence is hard to ignore. It's as if British culture is fading in a sea of foreign influence. In this footage, the scene is chaotic. Crowds of women in full hijabs and niqabs parade through the streets, showing a big cultural shift. The air is filled with loud chants and speeches in Arabic with references to Palestine. It feels like British norms are being pushed aside, and this is just a regular day in London. What used to be a part of British history now seems like a clash of different cultures. It's clear that many British people feel pushed to the side in their own capital, with cultural and historical landmarks overshadowed by foreign symbols. Watching this, it's hard not to notice how quickly London is changing. British culture feels like it's being drowned out by demands and symbols from other nations, and many are feeling uncomfortable. Are we witnessing our national identity slowly fade away? This has left many Brits feeling like they no longer belong in their own city, which is not acceptable. In other news, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is preparing for his second trip to the United States. He will meet President Biden at the White House to discuss several important global issues, including support for Ukraine, the conflict in Gaza, and maritime security in the Red Sea. The visit comes at a tense time, especially with the recent UK decision to suspend some arms exports to Israel, a move not echoed by the US. This difference in policy has sparked speculation about potential strains in the UK-US relationship, especially with the upcoming US presidential election. The stakes are high for this visit, with discussions expected on key issues like cooperation on supply chains, climate change, and economic ties. However, the lack of confirmed meetings with other key figures adds an element of uncertainty. Meanwhile, Germany is considering a controversial move involving Rwanda to process asylum claims, a plan that has already sparked debate. Unlike the UK's scrapped plan to send migrants to Rwanda, Germany's proposal focuses on processing asylum applications under international law. However, critics are already questioning the effectiveness of such a move.